Well, it's a reminder that for all the progress we've made, getting bin Laden, putting al Qaeda between Afghanistan and Pakistan back on its heels, that this radical, violent extremism is still out there.
The decision to temporarily close 19 diplomatic posts in response to intelligence about possible terrorist attacks has some people questioning President Barack Obama's previous assertions that US military efforts had severely undermined al Qaeda. This week, during that appearance that you just saw with late-night host Jay Leno, President Obama said the US has put al Qaeda, as you heard, between Afghanistan and Pakistan back on its heels. That's a little different from the line he used during his electoral campaign last year, when the president typically said the terrorist organization was on the run. Joining us to discuss this is Peter Nicholas. Good morning, Peter.
Good to be with you.
So, welcome. Now, Peter, is there much to read into this subtle shift, or are we kind of splitting hairs here?
Well, it's a question. The question is, how did President Obama talk about the terrorist threat? Did he level with the American people when he said during the final stages of the 2012 campaign that al Qaeda was on the run? It was a blanket statement, and he would say it in the context of Osama bin Laden is dead, al Qaeda's on the run. He would say that at various rallies. So there are some Republicans in Congress who are saying, well, that wasn't quite completely accurate. It might have been somewhat misleading, in the sense that al Qaeda has offshoots and affiliates in Yemen and North Africa, as we've seen this week, that still pose a threat to Western interests and the United States. So they're saying that the reality was a little bit more complex than that, more nuanced. The White House position is that, the Obama campaign position is that what Obama was doing was delivering a stump speech, which by its nature involves some distillation of a candidate's argument, some simplification, and that in other forms, in quieter forms, the administration did level with the American people and did say pretty bluntly that it was not that al Qaeda was dead.
And I suppose the reference to Afghanistan and Pakistan keeps him sort of in a more level position there, does it? In the sense that that's where their targets have been, and yet, as you just highlighted, it's Yemen, the satellites in Yemen, that seems to be the biggest problem this week.
That's right. What he's saying now, which we didn't hear during the campaign in the final days as he went to different swing states and talked about al Qaeda, he's drawing a distinction. He's saying that al Qaeda in the Afghanistan-Pakistan region is on the run. They're on their heels. And by implication, he's saying that al Qaeda is a viable threat elsewhere. So he's offering a more nuanced and more calibrated argument now, whereas on the campaign trail, he was issuing more of a blanket statement that al Qaeda was on the run, period, and not suggesting that al Qaeda, North Africa and Yemen was still alive and well.
Going forward, though, what's the administration's take on their outlook for al Qaeda? They feel like they've got things under control?
Well, I think what we've seen this week is al Qaeda remains a serious threat that has to be dealt with. They're closing embassies and issuing travel warnings. And what we're hearing from the administration is that al Qaeda potentially even remains a threat to the homeland. So they have various, it raises the question about NSA and various surveillance techniques that we have underway, and whether those are, the administration, it's offered some justification, ironically, for what Edward Snowden has talked about.
Is any of that intelligence getting to change strategy, though? I mean, presumably Yemen now is highly in focus, right?
Yes, Yemen is sort of front and center in the war on terror right now, it seems, and that's where the administration is concentrating its efforts. But it's a bit, it's a turn of events that is a bit embarrassing for the Obama administration. The president had viewed his national security credentials in one sense as one of his strengths and sort of part of his legacy. And the administration's view had been that they had made distinct progress against al Qaeda. And there is certainly evidence that that's happened. Osama bin Laden is dead. But as the events in Yemen show, al Qaeda remains a threat. It's not going away, and the Obama administration will be dealing with it for the remainder of the term.
All right, Peter. Thanks very much for that.